Andrea Thompson, thank you so much for joining me today with My Life Thrive. And we just love talking to people like you who are thriving in their life regarding health and just so many areas. And you beat cancer in a year. And there's just so many amazing stories that you have to share with us today. There's a book that you wrote called How I Beat Cancer. And it's actually, you can purchase it on TBN's website right now.
Yes.
And it'll be out on Amazon by August. Is that correct?
Yeah, it'll be on Amazon and other places that you can, generally purchase books. It'll definitely be there. Yes.
So you guys should definitely check that out. It's going to be an amazing story. And I'm looking forward to hearing what you're going to say today. But my first question is, what is your story? Like, how did all of this happen?
Who are you?
Yes. What motivated you to start this health journey?
That's a great question. But first of all, thanks so much for having me, Mary Kat. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm so excited to share my story. It's been amazing. And it's interesting because a lot of people think that I got into health when I got my diagnosis of cancer. It accelerated, but I'd always really been into health and nutrition, but it's just at a whole other level now. My degree is in physical therapy when I graduated from physical therapy school and nutrition. And so that's been my background, has always been the exercise nutrition part of it. So then at 42 years old, seemingly healthy individual, I competed in the sport of Taekwondo. And so it was really hard for me to understand how a person like me, who seemed to be pretty healthy, wind up getting cancer. Wow. And so it was really a shock, as it is to most people, because it wasn't something that I was looking for. Nobody is, but generally you get that diagnosis by having a routine exam, which is what I did, because I wound up getting cervical cancer back in August of 2012. And so from there, my prognosis wasn't the greatest. They gave me a year at best to live if I wasn't going to follow their protocols and treatment plans that they had. And so because of my physical therapy background, understanding, having some degree of medical background and just my own study, I knew that you couldn't build the body up and destroy it at the same time. And so the options that I was facing just weren't conducive for me. And when I first got the diagnosis, I was actually at the time living in Kansas City, flying to California for a conference. And I got the news at an airport, August 1st, 2012 at 8:30 a.m. in the airport, to be exact.
Wow.
And it was my doctor of over 20 years. So it wasn't, like this crazy doctor calling me and giving me this news. And so when you get that, I was really scared. And the first two things that came to my mind at the time was one, the thought of dying, and two, the thought of losing my hair. But I'm pretty for sure the thought of losing my hair was first.
Oh my goodness.
Because I am a real girl doing real life. Let's just be real.
Of course.
When I'm going to visit Jesus and be with him the rest of, for all eternity, it really didn't matter what my hair was going to look like. But those were the two things that I was facing. And I will never forget the night that I went. My daughter was with me that day. A good friend of mine was with me traveling, and my husband was in another state. He was going to be meeting us in California for the weekend. And I just remember that night going into a room at my mom's house and getting down on my knees. And just to take you back just really quickly previously, I have, cancer was like the pinnacle of truly of the icing on the cake, so to speak, because I've gone through over 20 years of abuse in my life. I was My uncle had attempted to rape me when I was 12. I was gang raped at 14 by 6 guys. I had an eating disorder. I was 100 pounds overweight. My father had abandoned me and my family and my sister in my teens. And then I went through a really bad divorce. And then I was actually thrown and forced into the sex industry for 10 years of my life.
Wow.
So all of that took place. I'm on my knees that night and crying out to God and just clenching my fists and, you know, saying, God, you've gotten me through all of the abuse, all of the hardships, the trauma, the, you know, everything, and have healed me from all of that. And this is going to be the one thing that takes me out. Cancer? Are you kidding me? And I just remember clenching my fist and I just screamed out loud. I said, why me and why now?
Wow.
And it truly was at that moment that I heard an audible voice that said, why not you and why not now?
Oh my goodness.
And so it was at that moment for me that I knew that this was so much bigger for me. And it wasn't just about me, but it was for all the other people in the world that I would encounter, although I had no idea. And so that really began my journey. And although they gave me a year at best to live, that cancer was gone in 90 days.
Wow.
But I truly believe it was that moment that I said, yes, God, I trust you. Yes, I trust that you have a plan. And he did. He had such a plan. And I believe that's really when I was healed. But then I had to walk out a process of stewarding that, and which I'm very thankful for. At the time, I wasn't. I wanted it instant. I wanted it done.
Yeah.
But I am truly thankful because now I have been educated. Now I have tools that not only for my life, for the life of my family that I'm able to implement, but now for people literally around the world that I've been able to talk with and share and to help. And I'm a coach, a health advocate. I'm someone that, you know, that can help give you what you need, because I truly believe the one thing that God did for me that was so amazing was that he gave me the education and the wisdom that I needed to be able to make decisions when you are faced with a chronic disease, a deadly disease such as cancer, which is extremely prevalent, to be able to make those decisions based out of that education and truth and not fear. Because until God changes my mind, I believe that cancer is the most fear-based disease on the planet. And cancer is not a death sentence.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be a death sentence.
Yeah. Yeah.
So here we are today.
Well, and that's what I really wanted to talk to you about, because, you know, we walked through a journey of brain cancer. I was 9 months pregnant, but we didn't have to go through, my husband was supernaturally healed. So I never had, yeah, thank you, Jesus.
Yes.
But it definitely brought me more aware of just living healthy and just how things matter, you know, what you're putting into your body. But what I see now is, like, you know, chemotherapy, which some people take that route, and I don't want to bash anyone for doing that, or making them, you know, there's no shame in that. I don't want to put shame on them, but I think I wanted to talk to you because I want to know what you did. And, you know, there's always other options. And I think because of the fear, people think that chemo is the only way. So that's what I would love to talk to you about.
And I would love to share.
Please do.
And again, I'm with you. It's not about condemnation. It's not about shaming. This is a personal journey for everybody to take and to make a decision of how they're going to best go about this journey once they receive a diagnosis like this. And it's so prevalent because 1 out of 3 men, or 1 out of 2 men are diagnosed with cancer every day. 1 out of 2 women are. 43 to 46 children are being diagnosed with cancer. And so this is affecting so many people. Yeah. And if it's not the person directly, it's somebody that they know that's very close to them. So it's very important to know that there are other options. And again, I mean, the facts are the facts that you cannot build the body up and destroy it at the same time. Whether we choose a more traditional route with chemo or radiation, or whether we go a more alternative route, which To me, I really feel like that's the original design of God. I don't believe, I mean, chemotherapy is poison. It was, I mean, that's what it is. It was created to destroy. Okay.
Yeah.
And there are very few cancers and very few chemotherapy drugs that can work together. And there's also an option where sometimes you can combine the two of the alternative treatments with the traditional treatments. If that is something that, your body, you're going to the right type of doctors, do the proper testing, that can be an option.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, more so than not, and regardless, even if the chemotherapy treatments and radiation work for a period of time, that is still a Band-Aid. It's not getting to the root cause. Same thing when you and I take wonderful supplements and even my alternative treatments. Well, those are a little bit different because those are getting to the root cause, but there's still a responsibility. There's still a stewardship that we need to be responsible for to still get to the root causes of why the body created the cancer in the first place. And that's really what happens, regardless. All disease, call it cancer, neurological diseases, autoimmune diseases, even though cancer is under that blanket, but all disease, regardless, whether it has a name, origin or not, all starts at a cellular level. Everything starts at a cellular level. Cancer is a metabolic disease. So that starts at a cellular level in the mitochondria inside of that cell. And so if we are only using Band-Aids and certain treatments to cover those symptoms and never actually get to the root cause and change the environment that's been created, because that's what happens. An environment had been created in my body, in your husband's body, and every other person that goes through this for cancer to live and to thrive. Okay.
Yeah.
And so what do? Well, now that we know that that's the case, we recreate an environment that's not conducive for that to live. We don't feed it. We don't encourage it.
Yeah.
We want to kill it. And then we want to rebuild our systems to live a very healthy, productive life without damaging the rest of the body that is there actually fighting and helping us through this. And that's what I have come to learn over the last 6.5, almost 7 years now of being completely cancer-free, is how to create an environment without being stressed about it, and to just have it be an everyday of life, allowing my doctor. So the key thing is here is when I talk about getting to the root cause is, how do you get there?
Yep.
I think of, if you think of like a well, and you can look down a well and you can see so far, and then it kind of it's dark, but you know that you can only see so far, but the well actually goes a whole lot deeper than what you can see. That's what happens to us at a cellular level, especially when we're using traditional diagnostic tools. We can see so far and then we can't see anymore, but we know that there's a whole lot more to go. There's much more of a deeper cellular level. And my doctor in Spain, Dr. Hilu, is where it began for me by testing my blood. And so it's a simple prick of the finger. It's a test now that I am in partnership with my doctor in Spain. We have these tests available here through our website. And this isn't just for cancer. Let me reiterate, this is for people with any kind of chronic disease, ailment, or those that want to be preventative, which is the best, because we want to prevent this ultimately. My doctors and I would much rather prevent all day long than have to treat, me have to coach and advise with chronic disease. So a simple prick of the finger, he's the only doctor in the world that can magnify the blood 65,000 times. So we have just gone down to the bottom of the well, so to speak, to be able to see what is happening. He can see things that have taken place from the time that we were in our mother's womb, because now we're learning that there are over 200 toxins that are being passed through the umbilical cord going into baby before baby's even born. Okay.
Yeah.
So this process has already started up to where we are presently. And then he can see things that potentially could happen 10, 15, 20 years down the line. So if we can just recreate an environment that's not conducive for that, it's a win-win. There's victory in all of this. God created the body to heal 100%, 100%. We just need to remove all of the things that are blocking that healing. And those, and those are 5 main keys that I talk about in my new book, How I Beat Cancer, which we can go over, quickly. But when we can adapt those keys, those principles to our lifestyle, then we're setting ourselves up for success. We're setting ourselves up to reverse things that have been there for a long time. I mean, we can see heavy metals. We can see what's happening in every organ system of the body. We can see where the weaker links are, because it's not, our bodies work together. They're synergistic. So mind, spirit, body, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so all of those need to be lined up, and they can all participate in the environment that's inside of us.
Wow.
So my 5 keys that I've learned, that I teach on, that are in my book, is we talk about renewing the mind. That's actually number 1, and having the right mindset. For me, being a 3rd degree black belt in Taekwondo, I learned to have what I call the mind of a champion. I mean, you're either going to, and there are times when I learned to have a mind of a champion by losing. Okay. But I think that's so important, because so many times we can start on a health journey, and I consult people all the time where they've start and stop, or they don't know what to do, and they feel like they've fallen, they feel like they failed, they think that they've, so to speak, fallen off the wagon, although I don't believe there's the wagon that you fall off of. We just revert back to old ways and habits and traditions and false senses of security and comfort, and instead of changing. So that's why when I said I used to be 100 pounds overweight and had an eating disorder, it was like, I've done every diet in the world and probably came up with 10 of my own. It was because this never shifted. My mind never shifted. And my reasoning and my whys for wanting to do what I was doing never got deep enough, even at a cellular level and in my mind, to want to change that, until I wound up getting that deadly diagnosis. So renewing the mind, and we talk a lot about that. We go through all kinds of steps in the book, in my teachings, the master class. We have a master class we're getting ready to release in the fall, which is going to be awesome. So, and then we talk about realigning your nervous system. And I'll just give you a quick example. So all life flows through our nervous system, through our spinal column, and we have nerves. And I'm going to get just a touch bit nerdy, but it's all going to make sense.
No, this is intriguing.
Because this is so important, because if you would have asked me, I want to say this, if you would have asked me July 31st, 2012, how I felt, I would have told you fantastic. It was my anniversary, my 3rd year anniversary, to the greatest guy in the world that God brought to me, that we're now going to be married for 10 years here at the end of July.
Wow, congratulations.
And I was packing to head to Los Angeles for an amazing Christian conference. And then the next day at 8:30 in the morning on August 1st, I was diagnosed with cancer. Wow. So it's not always by how we feel.
Yep.
It's one of the pieces, but when our nervous system could actually only perceive 10% of our pain and what's going on, it's not the best indicator. Because a lot of times we just, we accommodate and just deal with symptoms and stuff, or we're so tired and sick and tired, and we really feel like something's wrong, but everyone keeps saying it's just in your head, you're fine. Your numbers look fine. And you know, you're your best advocate. You know your body better than anybody. And so with the nervous system being aligned, we have cranial nerves and we have spinal nerves that innervate through all the organ systems of our body to keep us alive, and blood flows and healing is in there. And for me personally, they did an x-ray, they found just a tiny scoliosis in my lower back in my L2, 3, and 4. You couldn't see it. I couldn't feel it until I saw it through a test. And and I'll give you an example. You can have a nerve blocked up to 65%, say going to your heart, and you would never know it until you had a heart attack. So you can have blockages that extreme and still not realize it until then you're in crisis mode. So L2, 3, and 4 just happen to innervate into the female reproductive system, into the male reproductive system. What kind of cancer did I have? I had cervical cancer. That's one piece of the puzzle. Disease, cancer is multifaceted, and it requires a multifaceted approach. There's not one thing that will create that environment. It's several things. So then we look at revitalizing your eating, your nutrition. We know that there are specific things that feed cancer. The main fuel for cancer is glucose. It's sugar, period. So you're putting in sugar, even some good sugars, it's still feeding that cancer. So one of our goals is to stop feeding. To kill something, you have to starve it. And there are times when things need to be killed. So we need to understand, what does that look like? And what does healthy nutrition look like? What are the things that we could take out of the diet that are feeding it? And what can we put into the diet that would not only kill it, but also help nourish and strengthen the rest of the body? So we go over that. And then we talk about your oxygen, your energy, restoring your energy. Cancer cannot survive in an oxygenated environment, right? So we have found through these tests that a lot of people across the board, I don't know if it's something that's happening here in the United States, but they have really low oxygen, that their red blood cells, their blood is actually really aggregated. It's really thick because oxygen is not flowing. Well, that is an environment that has the potential to create cancer if left undone. But you see that at 65,000 times. You don't see that on a regular traditional blood panel. And then it's removing your toxins, because toxicity is huge. So your diet, I call it contamination, which is all your toxicity. That could be environmental toxicity, nutritional toxicity, emotional toxicity, your thoughts, because just as we have a biological metabolism, we also have an emotional metabolism. So all of those thoughts, everything that we do, have to be digested, processed, assimilated. And if not, they get stored in the body, because our cells have memory, and that can create a toxic environment. So we teach on how do we remove that from all phases, but we work with the best medical doctors that have the know-how and the ways to go about that. And then we come in as the coach, as an advocate, to help them implement all of the, protocols, and we are able to help to create, lifestyle things as well. So when people can understand what it is, it's a win-win, because then you can overcome it.
Well, I mean, can you just say those 5 things just one more time?
Yes.
Just so
Yes. Yes. Okay. So we're going to renew the mind. Realign the nervous system. Revitalize your eating. We're going to restore your energy, and we're going to remove your toxins. And so those are the 5 keys that we go over. But there are 4 things that have to happen in the body in order for cancer to happen. So those are how you get over it. But the things that create it are diet, the contamination, a small portion of genetics, and then stress. Stress is a big one. So genetics, 98% of all disease is lifestyle, 2% of it is genetic. But what we know now, even through genetics, is that genetics they operate in the environment they live in.
Yeah.
It's like a light switch that turns on and off. So if we can create an environment that's healthy, that would not cause a gene mutation that maybe someone's carrying to turn on, we can keep that at bay so it doesn't fire, it doesn't trigger. If we don't know what that is, how do we know? So we do proper testing for that. My doctor also does epigenetic testing. So it's just phenomenal how God created our bodies to heal. And we actually have the power, the control to create whatever we want inside of us. I mean, it's really our choice. A lot of people just don't know how to go about it. And so that's really what I feel that God has brought to the table for me. My mission and my purpose is truly to be that truth teller, that storyteller, that example of the grace of God and his wisdom, his knowledge that he's downloading on a deeper level, a deeper code. He's been just given it to us in us a way, like you said, that we can be. I'm so full of hope and so encouraged that cancer doesn't scare me. God is not intimidated by it. He's not intimidated by any disease. And because of the knowledge that I have and I'm able to share, I actually truly believe that for other people as well. So, all right.
So if you could just maybe talk about Dr. Helu, what he does a little bit, like where, as far as like resource that people can find regarding this blood test, that would be helpful.
Absolutely, yes. We have been, since I've been back last August from Spain, I've partnered with my doctor, and he's been my doctor now for 6.5 years. But it's been amazing because he offers this test. So you can actually go to my website, andreathompson.org.
Okay.
And you can go into the store. We actually have these tests available. They come in batches to us. So, but right now we do have some available, and it's a live blood analysis. So here's the thing. There are some people out here that will do, in the States, referring to, that will do these live blood analysis. They run around $5,000 up to $20,000 to do. The average pathogens that they can find and detect is 11.
Wow.
Dr. Helu's tests right now are between $430 and $450.
Wow.
And he can find over 860 pathogens.
My goodness.
The other tests won't come with protocols, treatments, and things like that. But for that, what is included is he will examine the blood.
Okay.
It's a prick of the finger. You order the test from my website. We send it out to you within 24 hours. And you don't have to fast. You don't have to change anything in your life. It's super simple. It's a couple drops of blood. And you send it off to Spain. We give you all of the instructions, everything you need. I have a phenomenal team that will help you. And once he analyzes it, you will get back through email your results, everything that he finds. You will get recommendations. You will get a protocol. You will get a treatment plan that will include lifestyle changes, any supplementation that your body might be deficient in or need. We have found that so many people are taking things that they don't even need, and the things that they do need, they actually aren't taking. And so we're really all about, just as much as we can over-medicate, we can over-supplement, and we just want you taking what you need, what the body needs. Because ultimately the body, we want it to run efficiently on its own, or with as minimal things as we need to help it. There are some things we always need it to help, just because of the times we're living in and our environment, things like that. But you can definitely go to andreathompson.org. All of my consultations on there. Last night, I actually did a Instagram live, and I have mentored Katie, who is now coming. I mean, she's been on board, but now she's going to also be doing consults, because we are just booked upon book, but that's okay. We will make room. And so we're bringing her on board, and we're helping people with the results, because it's a test unlike anything you've ever seen. And a lot of people we're finding really aren't sick or ill, but they're imbalanced and have abnormalities. And that's where it all begins. That's That's how disease in the body begins, with abnormalities and imbalances that have gone unchecked and untreated, untaken care of. So we're just about bringing back balance and revitalizing the body and getting the body to operate and function the way that it was always designed to, and to be thriving instead of striving.
Mm.
So you can follow me on Instagram at Andrea.Thompson. You can go to my Facebook fan page, Andrea Thompson. And we haven't started podcasts yet, but we will be. But we're getting ready to release the masterclass. And I do a weekly blog, though. So if you're interested in getting a weekly blog, you can sign up for that on the website. You can email us at info@andreathompson.org. Ask us questions, get more information about the test, more information about consultation and packages and what we offer. And we're here to help and to serve. That's, I mean, really, that is what I'm here for. So
amazing. Well, thank you so much. Andrea, I also forgot to mention this at the beginning. You are from Redding, California.
yes.
And I forgot to mention that, but you guys know where to find her now, and you just see what an inspiration she is just from hearing just a little bit of her story. So Andrea, thank you so much for just taking time with me today just to share. And I know so many people are going to be interested. And actually, I want to go to this website too.
Yes.
And find out more information about this blood test, because it's really exciting to hear all of the pathogens that he can find from just a simple blood test.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's a life changer. So thank you so much for having me on today, Mary Kat. It's been a pleasure. You are beautiful. What a blessing. Thank you for doing this and being a voice in this, because we need an army of people to be able to spread the truth and to really get things changing and to bring more awareness and more options to people so that they have them. So thank you very much.
Sure. Well, stay tuned, guys, and stay well.